Bolts, Dirty Birds, or Wolverines? It's your Maize and Blue review update for January the 22nd. Jim Harbaugh spends Friday in Washington, D.C., attending and speaking at a March for Life event. Saturday, Harbaugh, he was in Baltimore watching football as his brother John's Baltimore Ravens advanced to the AFC Championship game, beating the Houston Texans. Uncertainty still surrounds whether Harbaugh will coach at Michigan or in the NFL next season. Harbaugh interviewed with the Chargers last Monday. Today, Adam Schefter from ESPN says Harbaugh is expected to meet this week for a second interview with the LA Chargers. Last Tuesday, Harbaugh interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons reportedly are scheduling a second interview with Harbaugh for this week as well. Meanwhile, Michigan is still trying to keep the national championship coach in Ann Arbor. Yahoo Sports with a story last week indicating that Harbaugh seeks protection in his next U of M contract, if that's going to happen, regarding possible future NCAA punishment. There are still currently 7 NFL openings: the Chargers and Falcons, Commanders, Panthers, Seahawks, Raiders, and Titans. So we can trim that down to 6 as the Raiders are bringing back their interim head coach. Former Wolverine Aiden Hutchinson continued his strong play with another quarterback sack in the Lions' 8-point win over the Bucs yesterday to advance to the NFC title game. Hutchinson with 3 sacks in his postseason, and that ties him with former Lion Ziggy Ansah for most playoff sacks in Lions history. Aiden Hutchinson's last 4 games, the tally: 19 tackles, 8 sacks, and a forced fumble for the former Wolverine. Lions will play San Francisco next week. They're a 6.5-point underdog today, and it's been 66 years since the Lions last won a playoff game on the road. That win came against the 49ers in San Francisco, and that win get the Lions to the 1957 NFL Championship game, which they won. Michigan won the national championship 2 weeks ago at NRG Stadium in Houston. Michigan football put out a tweet over the weekend saying that Michigan is the first FBS team to not allow a kickoff return longer than 30 yards in the last 3 years. Last week, that same U of M feed said Michigan is also the first FBS team to hold 15 different opponents under 25 yards in a season since Minnesota in 1903. Here's a Michigan football recruiting update. The Wolverines signed 27 players in the early 2024 signing period. The 24 class is ranked 13th overall by Rivals.com. 10 of those players will be early enrollees: Jaden Davis, Brady Prieskorn, Blake Frazier, Jeremiah Beasley, Jacob Oden, Jake Warnera, Dominic Nichols, and Cole Sullivan. Those 8 join U of M out at the Rose Bowl and for their college football playoff run. Hogan Hansen and Andrew Sprague are also early enrollees for U of M, so we'll see them possibly during spring ball. Michigan with a recent add and subtraction for its 2025 recruiting class. 4-star tight end Eli Owens is the add. The loss is defensive back prospect Chris Ewald Jr., who decommitted last week for the Maize and Blue. So Michigan with 3 commits for 25 right now: Owens, DN Bobby Kantka from Howell, Michigan, and quarterback Carter Smith out of Florida. Smith named the 23 Gatorade Player of the Year in Florida earlier this month. U of M has added a pair of players so far out of the transfer portal: linebacker Ja'Shawn Barnum from Maryland and former Northwestern guard Josh Preeb. In other portal news, Michigan did host former Northwestern defensive back Rod Hurd and Wake Forest wideout Jamal Banks recently. Hurd committed to Notre Dame, and Banks picked Nebraska. Michigan with 7 players that have put their name in the portal. They include Matthew Hibner, Amarian Walker, Darius Clemens, Jake Thaw, CJ Stokes, Cameron Calhoun, and linebacker Joey Velasquez. So far, Stokes has landed with former Michigan analyst Biff Poggi at Charlotte. Clemens heads back to the Northwest to play for Oregon State. Walker indicated late last week that he is going to Ole Miss. The Michigan basketball team is back in action tomorrow night at Purdue. Boilers sit at 17-2 on the season, and they're ranked number 2 in the top 25. It will be a 9 o'clock start, and that game is on Peacock. The Michigan women's basketball team came away with a 6-point road win yesterday at Rutgers. U of M's record improves to 13-6 on the season, and the U of M women host Maryland this Wednesday at 7 o'clock. The Michigan hockey team split a pair of games over the weekend to Michigan State. U of M won Friday 7-1, but fell on Saturday night 7-5 to MSU. Michigan hosts Wisconsin this upcoming weekend for a pair of games at Yost Friday and Saturday, both games starting at 7 o'clock. That's the latest on Michigan. Stay tuned for Good Afternoon Michigan football at the top of the hour. And for the latest on U of M, as always, go to the MaizeandBlueReview.com or go to Michigan